everyone, welcome back to Code Casper. In this today's video, we are diving into a key concept in a Spring Boot, which is bean scopes. So, if you ever wonder what happens behind the scenes when Spring creates your beans and how the bean scope affects your application, so yeah, this video is for you. So let's understand what are the different types of bean scopes we have and what is the bean scope. Okay, so in Spring, a bean is an object that is managed by the Spring IOC container. But how long does a bean live? How many times it is created? So that's what the bean scope defines. Okay, Spring provides different types of bean scopes to control the life cycle and the visibility of beans. So we have mainly five types of bean scopes are there. The first one is Singleton. So let's go through each one of it. Okay, so first we will see the Singleton bean scope, and which is the default bean scope. So if you don't define any scope of the bean, it will by default it will take as a Singleton. So let's see how to create the Singleton bean scope. So that is very, so let's create a class in the util. So let's say it's my bean. So if you create this class, we need to annotate with at the rate component. Okay, why? Because then only it will makes it as a the class will gives the ability to define the bean definitions. So here we have the annotation called at the rate scope. This is where we need to define our scope. Okay, so in this we need to pass Singleton. So now this class will act as a bean which has the scope of Singleton. So Singleton means so created only once per the Spring container, but shared across the whole this entire application, and which is good for the stateless beans. Let's say if you create if you inject in 10 different classes this my bean, only the one instance is shared all the in all the 10 classes. So only one instance is created, but this instance is shared by the entire application. This is called Singleton bean scope. Okay, so yeah, let's see one more, the second one, which is prototype. So let me create one more class from my prototype bean. So I'm taking different classes to understand. Simply prototype bean. Okay, let's say my prototype bean. Again we need to annotate this with at the rate component, and in the scope we need to give prototype. Prototype, what is this prototype bean? So if you specify, if you define the scope of a bean as prototype, so a new is instance is created every time when it is requested. Okay, so let's say if you auto write this bean in some other class, so wherever you auto by this one, it will create a new instance in every whenever you define in every definition. So yeah, the new instance is created every time it is requested. And more thing, it is useful for stateful beans. Whenever you need to, we need a stateful bean, then you should use this prototype bean. So Spring doesn't manage the full life cycle like pre-destroy and all these life cycle methods. So it won't be called if you use this prototype bean. Okay, so next we will see the third one, which is the request bean. Okay, so request scope, let me create one more class which is request scoped bean. Okay, let me create request scope bean. So in this request bean, again the same old story, we need to create the component and we need to create the scope. Instead of that, we just need to pass just request. So what is this request bean scope? So new bean created for every HTTP request. We have the controller, right? So in that controller we are going to expose our endpoints. So whenever an endpoint is consumed, in that if you auto by this bean, so for every request we will get a fresh bean. For every HTTP request we will get a fresh bean is created and valid in web aware applications. It is valid in web aware applications, and it is tied to the entire request lifecycle. Once the request completes, this bean got destroyed. Okay, this is about the request bean. And next, the coming to session scoped bean. Okay, let me write session scoped bean. So this session scoped bean is about let me component, and the scope is session. So if you create a bean with the session, what it happens, only one bean per HTTP session. We have a sessions, right? HTTP session. So for one HTTP session, the instance is created, and it is great for like user sessions data. So we need to like we need to keep in mind. So this request scope is serves for the HTTP request, whereas the session scope serves for the HTTP session. This is the main difference between these two. And coming to the last one, which is application scope. Let me create one more application let's say bin, application bin. Okay, here we need to give at the rate component here, right? At the rate no, uh, what happened? Yeah, at the rate component, and the scope should be application here. So it is suitable for the WebSocket applications. Let me create this first and explain. Yeah, so if you give this application scope, what it will serve, it is the bean is created per servlet context. So every like the application has a servlet context, right? So for every each servlet context, the bean is created, and which is used across the entire web application, right? Yeah, these are the 5 different scopes we have. The first one is the singleton scope, and the second one is the prototype scope, and the third one request scope, session scope, and the application scope. These are the 5 different bean scopes we have. This is the very important interview question we need to keep in mind. So we when we need to use the singleton scope is used when you want to create only instance for app. The prototype scope is created, you need multiple unique instances. When you need multiple unique instances, you should go for the prototype. The request scope is created whenever the HTTP request needs a new instance, then you should go for the request scope. The session scope, it stores the like user specific state. And coming to the application scope, in the application scope, it maintains creates for the global state or the complete web socket. This is the complete like info regarding this bean scopes. So understanding bean scopes is essential for building scalable and maintainable Spring applications. Use them wisely based on your needs. Like want to performance and reuse, go with the singleton. Need fresh instances, use prototypes. Handling web requests, try request or session scopes. Yeah, if you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon, so don't miss this future videos from Code Grasper. So drop your questions in the comments. I will reply to each and every comment. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching. Keep grasping with Code Grasper. Thank you.